everybody, and welcome to the Organized Play panel. I wanted to start off by saying, this time last year, none of us thought we would be coming to you as tiny little boxes on your computer screen. And if you've been a part of this community for a while, thank you. Truly, this community has done an amazing job bringing people together, and it's an honor to work with my amazing coworkers here on my team and elsewhere at Paizo, with the freelancers who write and illustrate the products that we produce, with the volunteers who organize and GM everything. Just thank you all so much. This community is truly a blessing. And if you're new, welcome. We are so glad to have you. We'll be starting with some basics off here today, so you know what we're talking about when we say organized play. So start off with introductions. My name is Linda Zayas Palmer. I am the development manager for the Digital Adventures team. As a Digital Adventures team, we make these organized play adventures that we're going to be talking about here today, as well as some bounties and one-shots, which are other short-form adventures that you'll hear our fellow team member Thurston Hillman talking about in a panel on Friday about Paizo's print and digital adventure offerings. And I'd like to introduce our other panelists as well. Alex, would you like to tell folks a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yes. Hi, hello. I am Alex Speidel, he, him. I am Paizo's organized play coordinator as of a couple weeks ago, I think. I don't know, time is a weird soup these days. But what that means is that while Linda and her team write and develop the adventures that we put out and get them all out to you, my job is working with the wonderful community that she mentioned, our volunteers and our players, to make the games happen, to make events like Gen Con Online, like PaizoCon, all of our other events happen, and sort of do a little bit more of the kind of nitty-gritty organizational stuff so that the editors can focus on bringing you really fun adventures.
How about you, Jenny?
Jenny, I don't hear you.
Sorry, it was muted. Can you hear me now? Okay. Hi, I am Jenny Jarzabski. Right, that brought back a memory. Can you hear me now? Anyway, I am the Starfinder Society developer or line lead person. I do a lot of stuff in space. I think I may have been out in the drift for a little too long. It's pretty weird out here, but it's a lot of fun. And, I just really also enjoy the fact that I get to be part of and work with this amazing community. These amazing freelancers, volunteers, and everybody who plays these games, whether it's at home or coming into the stores. Y'all are amazing, and this would not be a thing without all of you. So as excited as I am to sit here before you and answer questions and talk, I just want to say, thank you so much. You're great. Aw, thank you. Anyway, you can move to someone else.
Mike?
Hi, I'm Mike Kimmel, and I'm the Pathfinder Society developer here at Paizo. And I'm basically Jenny's counterpart, but over working on Pathfinder adventures instead of Starfinder Society adventures. I joined up in January just this year. So I feel very connected to the freelancing community and as a freelancer myself, and to the org play community as a whole. And I'm just sad that my tenure here has all been remote so far, and I'm just looking forward to getting a chance to see people in person again. But in the meantime, I'm excited to be here and talking about the exciting things that our community gets to enjoy.
I think the strange thing about our team is that other than Linda, our whole tenure has been remote for all of us, which is a little odd.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it is pretty strange. Into the virtual space. That's where a lot of gaming is happening nowadays too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do I exist outside of the computer? I don't know. I may just be an Infosphere presence for all you know.
So. I've met all of you IRL though, so I'm pretty sure you exist, unless this is some elaborate trick.
It could be. This could be all a simulation. But anyway, let's not go down that path too deeply.
We've derailed already.
So Alex,
sorry.
Alex, what is organized play?
What is organized play? Organized play is when coworkers get together and talk about how they're all computer simulations. No, that's mostly not what it is. So organized play at its core is our Paizo's worldwide campaigns that we put together. They are living campaigns, so it's a chance for people to sit down all around the world, play the same adventures that people everywhere else are playing, to form communities, locally, nationally, globally, and be part of a larger campaign, because the adventures that we put out, have ramifications. The decisions that players make have repercussions on future scenarios. But at its core, like I say, it's a global campaign. It's a way for you to find people to play these games that we all love with, whether it's online, whether it's with people at your local game store, or, like I said, at these larger events like Gen Con. So yeah, that's what it is in a nutshell. That's how I try to explain it to my family.
So folks watching this are wondering, how do they get involved? How do they connect with, how do they find games at Gen Con? How do they find games online? How do they do that? What advice would you have for them?
Oh gosh, I have so much advice. So there are a number of places that you can get started with organized play, whether it's locally or at Gen Con. If you're at Gen Con this weekend right now, if you go to Gen Con Online's event registration, all of our Pathfinder and Starfinder events that are being run are organized play. Almost all of them, not all of them, but like a lot of them, are available for low-level adventurers. So if it's got levels 1 to 4 on it, that's something that you can bring a brand new character to. If you've never played, you show up with a character, say, hi, I built this character, can I play them? If you don't have a built character, that's fine. We have pre-generated characters, one for each class, that you can say, I want to be a cleric, or I want to be a druid, or I want to be something else. I forgot all of the other classes. And oracle. Oracles are great. That you can sit down, we can hand you a pre-generated character. So go to Gen Con's website, search their ticket catalog for all of Paizo's events, or just hop onto our Discord server. It's at paizo.events is the web URL. You can join the Discord server there and say, hello, I would like to play a game. Please help me out. And we have wonderful volunteers who can help you out. Outside of Gen Con Online and this weekend, there are a few different places that you can check out as sort of hubs for our different games. If you go to Paizo's forums, there is an organized play forum that you can locate games in your area. There's an event section that you can say, hey, I'm looking for games in, wherever, Seattle, Washington, Pittsburgh. I'm looking for them in, I'm trying to think of a foreign city, London. London's not in America. But you can post there. People will help you out. If you go to warhorn.net, I hope, that is where a lot of our lodges list their events. I hope it's .net and .com and not .com. I'm good at my job. But if you go there, a lot of our lodges list their events there. A lot of our lodges list events there. If they're online events, they're also listed there. And a lot of our local lodges, even if they cover a specific geographic region, will welcome people from around the world at their online events. So go there, check them out. The online region's main hub is the Discord server located at pfschat.com. If you go there and say, hello, I would like to play a game, our wonderful online volunteers will take care of you there. So there's a number of different ways. You can also just, throw a message into the void on a dove and say, I would like to play organized play, and someone will probably tell me about it.
It is warhorn.net, by the way. You're correct, Alex.
I'm so good at my job.
Got it. He really is. But so we have a reward system for players who are playing Pathfinder and Starfinder Society that's called achievement points, where they can get some special rewards for their characters. You want to tell us a little bit more about that, Alex?
I would love to tell you about achievement points, or ACP as we call them, because we love acronyms. Yes, we do. So achievement points are a way to reward, I will say, kind of our frequent flyers, our frequent players, the GMs and players who run games regularly for us. Every game that you play, you will earn achievement points for Pathfinder or Starfinder Society. You'll get 4 as a player, you'll get 8 as a GM. I do know those numbers are correct. So if you sit down and play, you'll get 4 points. There are certain special events where we attach multipliers to the events. So for a major show like Gen Con, there's a 1.5 times multiplier on it. So a GM would get 12, a player would get 6. For other local regional events that have support, there's a little bit smaller multiplier, but it incentivizes going out to your local game stores, to other events, and not just hanging out, in your basement with a group of your friends. Not that we don't want to encourage you to do that, but part of what makes organized play so great is forming this community that we've been talking about, finding these other people in the hobby. And so we want to encourage people to go out and do that to these different events. So anyway, you've earned all these achievement points. What do I do with them? Well, we have a lovely achievement points store that we are constantly making additions and improvements to on the Paizo website. With Pathfinder 2nd Edition, it has a lovely rarity system built in by the designers already that kind of dictates what's common in this world, what's uncommon, and what's super rare. And the way that you get access to those uncommon and rare options in any campaign is ask your GM. For Pathfinder Society, we're the GM. So what we've said is if you play enough games, you will accumulate points. You can then spend those points for boons that will let you do things like play uncommon or rare ancestries, or maybe have access to a particular uncommon spell or item or something like that. So it's a reward for those people who keep coming back and playing, that you can, have access to those slightly rarer character options, or slightly, little bit shinier character options for you. It is our way to reward our GMs, because GMs get more, and we always need GMs. The program doesn't run without our volunteer GMs. So by running games for us at cons, at local game stores, you do get a little bit more points. So you do get a little bit closer to those rewards.
So I did want to touch on one thing that Alex was alluding to there, that with organized play, you really can play it anywhere. And a lot of folks do like to mix it up. I've enjoyed playing it with friends in my house, as well as in gaming stores and conventions and all sorts of places. When you have characters with organized play, those characters stick with you. You could play your first game in your basement, your second game in another country, and your third game in a game store, and your fourth game in a convention. And it's all the same character, and it all comes with you. So that's one of the main advantages of organized play, is that we have this community that operates sort of under this shared set of assumptions that lets you be flexible in the way you play and easily welcome new players into your game.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can take a character anywhere you want there, and that any table that you sit down at is playing by the exact same rules, which is really nice, that that your character will always work no matter where you take it. So yeah.
Was there anything else about organized play that you wanted to share with folks before we move on, Alex?
I mean, gosh, I could talk for a full hour about organized play, but I've been strictly instructed not to. So I will just say, before we talk about the Pathfinder and Starfinder Society lines specifically, that like we've said, it is truly a community. I know that especially over the past 18 months, a lot of people have really found solace and comfort and camaraderie within this community in a time when we are all very isolated. We are all in our little boxes on screens, only talking to one or two other people. And so this is really a great chance for you to sort of get out, meet other people, like-minded people who enjoy the same kind of games you do. It's great, and all of our volunteers are more than happy to welcome you. Don't ever be afraid to reach out and just say, I'm new, I don't know something, how do I get started? Because we will absolutely help you out.
Awesome, thanks. So we've got a bit more information to share about our retired programs as well, the ones that are not currently active, the first edition Pathfinder Society program and the Pathfinder Adventure Card Society. So yes, very pretty. So the first edition Pathfinder Society program is still something that people can play based on the first edition game. We've got a bunch of adventures out there, and people can freely schedule and run games using those. We did a little bit of work recently on getting those last rules options available for people to play with their characters in Pathfinder First Edition. So if you haven't checked that out, take a look at the additional resources page. And we've also some folks have been asking, are you ever going to sanction so we can play those last first edition adventure paths? That is something that we have been heavily looking into, and I expect that there will be more news on that front coming down the pike very shortly. As it pertains to the Pathfinder Adventure Card Society, this is our program that is tied to the Pathfinder Adventure card game, where we released several seasons of new adventures for folks who are playing that. The Pathfinder Adventure Card Society just recently retired. It's a program that we really enjoyed. I know I certainly really enjoyed playing that, and it was sad to see it go. But we considered that without, other card game releases that were being announced on the horizon, we were looking at where we could dedicate our resources to support. And we ultimately made the decision that it was going to be best for us to pour more resources into the Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society programs. But it's not. But just like the Pathfinder Society First Edition program, it's not gone. You can still play adventures. We've got at this very convention, we've got a special adventure, the Protean's Prank, that is running on Sunday. And we also have rules for folks to make their own adventures that are part that you can check out that you can see as well in the guide for Pathfinder Adventure Card Society. So that is something that was certainly sad to see go, but it will still be around in the background and in our hearts. So I wanted to say that as well before we got into what is new and shiny and coming up. So let's talk about what we have going on this year in Starfinder Society with the year of the data scourge.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
So Jenny and your raccoon.
Yeah.
Jenny and your raccoon, can you tell us a little more about what is the year of the data scourge?
Okay, and I don't know that I see data scourge art, but that's okay. You can just imagine
let's move to the next slide. Yeah, we got a little behind there.
Yeah. Oh, that's all good. Okay, cool. So I love this art, and I know a lot of people have seen it before, but writing this art order and getting to work with other people on this team and the artists in-house was really exciting. And to see this, I was like, wow, this looks like it came out of a comic book. And this is something that like we came up with as a team. So it's super cool. Like I came up with this idea and worked on it with people, and oh my gosh, because this was like the first time I'd seen something like this. So basically the year of the data scourge is even scarier in this year plus of digital virtual space, because it is a computer virus, or rather like a malicious code that has infected Pact World infospheres excuse me, I can't talk, at the same time as a mysterious robotic army attacks the Lorespire complex, which is the Starfinder Society's headquarters. So the way this season starts off is it puts the PCs, like the Starfinder agents, in the path of this disaster as they're just minding their own business on the station, and then boom, there's robots attacking, there's, communications going down, and they have to react and see if they can fight their way and think their way back to the Lorespire complex. What follows is an investigation into what caused the data scourge, or who caused the data scourge. That is ongoing. The plot is, oh goodness, which one we're on, but the plot is wrapping up. It is fully created at this point, fully outlined, and I'm really excited to see what people think about kind of the mid-season episode, so to speak, and then the finale that we have planned, because it's going to be pretty cool, I think.
Can you tell us a little bit more about some of those things that you've got planned that are coming up in the hopper? Some of those adventures that you're most excited about?
Oh gosh, we all have our little animals and pets now. Okay, so some things that are coming up. Yeah, let's do it. So some things, show and tell, everyone. Oh, that is so cute. That is so cute. Anyway, I'm not going to get distracted. So, so things we have coming up. So not everything is related to the data scourge, because everybody gets kind of sick of it when, even if it's super awesome, everything is like the same plot. Like if you've been around the block with us, you remember Year of the World Wound, which was really cool, but like everything was like demons, and people that didn't want to fight demons were, maybe not the happiest campers. So we want to make sure that it's not all tech support and not all fighting robots and constructs. So one of the scenarios that I'm super excited about was written by an amazing friend and former coworker of mine, Diego Valdez. It is called Precious Cargo. And it is I'm going to do some minor spoilers. So if you're really worried about that, please don't listen to me for like the next 60 seconds. But basically, I was in a voice chat with some friends one night, and we were just talking about current events and started talking about the Suez Canal incident, because it was back when this had just happened. And I remember saying, like, this would be a great, or I think someone else said, like, this would be a great idea for a Starfinder Society scenario. You should do that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, but how can we make this weirder? And I was like, well, wait, what if the stalled ship had feelings? Like, what if it had like a VI or an AI and it could think and it had feelings? And like, how would it feel? How would it react? Why is it that this like sentient ship would be like trapped in, you know, in space? And so I started coming up with this weird, crazy idea from there. And I knew instantly that Diego was the only person I wanted to write this thing, because he did some excellent work that I contract developed in Starship Operations Manual, all about like sentient ships, like ships with VI and AI made by like anicytes, right, on Abalon. So I knew he would already kind of have that interest and background. Plus, he is such a compassionate person, and he's funny, and he's got such a weird imagination that I felt like he would be perfect. So I assigned that to him, and he and I just kind of like spitballed and created this adventure. And honestly, like, if you want to ship literal ships, yes, I mean it that way, you need to play Precious Cargo. Like, it's probably one of the weirder things I've done. I'm also excited about one that just came out recently. I'd heard some things in the community about people being upset that we'd worked with the Veskarium, like we, the society, had worked with the Veskarium and not had a chance to say, oh, I don't know if we agree with their policies. Like, we don't agree with like the, you know, how the Patras are trying to rebel maybe, but they can't. So, and I had those concerns myself, but the scenario actually deals with a Patra rebellion, and it gives the players more agency, I believe, and more chances to control that narrative and decide how they want to interact with those Patra and with the Vesk, kind of like who they want to support. And there's reporting elements, so we can see who the majority of the society feels more sympathetic towards, and we can possibly work that into future narratives, and make that choice matter for you as players and GMs. So that I'm really excited about. Another really awesome freelancer, Shay Snow, is writing that. They are a native person from Texas, which is my home state, but so we have that connection. But Patra are very like indigenous coded, I feel like, in Starfinder. So giving them the opportunity to work on that was really cool, because we had some really cool conversations, really informative conversations. We shared a lot of playlists going through that scenario in the writing and dev process. So yeah, I may be going on about these a bit much, but like, I'm very excited about a lot. One more that I will mention before I let Linda talk again and ask another question.
Tell us about what's coming out in December. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm getting to. Okay. So y'all know that every season needs a holiday special, right? We are going to have the first ever Starfinder holiday special coming out in December. And it is going to be the most adorable thing ever. The author that I have assigned right now to it is amazing, and I think they're going to do an excellent job with it. It is whimsical and weird. It explores the four Pact Worlds, three of the four Pact Worlds holidays I established in a December blog. If you look up the December Starfinder blog from last year, there's a little piece of what's essentially Starfinder Society fanfic that I wrote. It's fiction, but it's fanfic about my own thing, so I don't know if that's really fanfic, but
if you write it, I don't think it's fanfic anymore.
Yeah, it's not
okay.
Really.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a canon piece of fiction on the blog, and it also details 4 new holidays that are celebrated in the Pact Worlds. These are things that I talked about with the Starfinder creative team and got their sign off and approval and like workshop with them. So these are real. Like, you can use, they're not in a book yet, but you can use these things in your game. So our quest or our adventure is going to revisit these holidays, and you're going to get to have some holiday hijinks. So yay, I'm excited.
I love with Starfinder how you can experience such a wide variety of genres within the same game. You can do everything from like any combination of heartwarming and weird and serious and just whatever you want, you can throw it together. And the short form of the adventures that we make so many opportunities for us to play around with that. And you guys do such a great job with that. Because Pathfinder is also a open setting that allows for that kind of thing. So I wanted to ask you too, Jenny. So you and Thirsty were the dynamic duo that was behind the planning for the linked interactive that is debuting at this show. Without spoiling the plot, because I'm sure plenty of our viewers are signed up for that already, can you share a bit about what planning that was like and why people should play it?
Okay, so that was another one that came as a result, or it was helped shaped by voice calls with friends, Thirsty, and actually it's funny because we have the specter of like John Compton, like, you know, kind of like rearing up in that unholy triad of like let's talk specials because he had so much experience with it in the past. So we wanted there to be a crossover. That was the big thing, is there had never been a crossover, and long before I came onto the staff as a full-time employee, this was something that I believe it started with Thirsty and Mike Sayre, and John had buy-in and interest in it too, that they planned this crossover event. So we talked about it and we're like, well, this could be a big like earth-shattering thing, but that's what literally every special is, right? Like it's always, you know, you got to save the world because demons are clawing their way out of, you know, out of like this scar in the earth, or, you know, there's people trying to like take Absalom, like they're literally attacking an army and we have to fight them off. And that's super cool, but it gets a little bit like tiring after a while. I think we just wanted to tell a different type of story. So we came up with an idea to tell like a personal story about bonds between people, and still letting the society explore and adventure, or the societies rather. But we wanted it to be more personal and about like bonds between people, like characters, as well as the characters in the stories. So I kind of took off from there, and I don't really want to spoil it for you, but you really should play it because they are truly intertwined. And to find out what happens with the Pathfinder, with the character you'll meet in the Pathfinder Society special, you need to play the Starfinder counterpart. And I
I
think
think we
that
can say
people
one
who
more
play
thing.
it
That's sorry.
yeah. No, I was gonna say I hope you will get invested emotionally in this character and want to see what happens. But what were you gonna say, Linda?
One more thing we can say about that is that the events of the Pathfinder version will absolutely impact what happens during the Starfinder one. So we've got that kind of connectivity, and you're going to see those callbacks. You're going to see how successful you were in Pathfinder determines what the state is in Starfinder. So that was something that was really fun to work on too, is that intermeshing. Very cool. So, one last question for you, Jenny, before we flip this over to the Pathfinder side. What are some of your favorite Starfinder Society NPCs?
Oh, that's so hard because that's like asking about like your favorite children and adopted children. Oh gosh, I would have to say,
I get an
like,
apple?
I mean, this. So Datch is definitely one of my favorites because I got to help shape her from the beginning, and I just love her brand of evil, like her scheming, and I enjoyed writing the handouts and the Datch quest because it's like you just get into this mindset of this absolutely scheming, like manipulating person who's always in control and always a little snarky, you know, and it was super fun. It's kind of a Saturday morning cartoon villain, like Datch, with a little more nuance. So I really like Datch a lot. I also, surprising no one, I love Selita because she's a super strong, like amazing, smart android lady who kicks butt, and she's pretty cool. Other than that, I like Radazam a lot too, but I think that's just because I always give him the Russian accent, and I like have fun role playing that. So yeah.
There's so many great NPCs in Starfinder. I know I asked you the pick your favorite children question. But
yes.
So some of the ones you like, yeah, right. So so that's really cool about the year of the Data Scourge, and we will have much more news to come in that regard. But to make sure that we stay on target with our time, let's talk about what we have going on this year in Pathfinder Society in the year of Shattered Sanctuaries. So Mike, what is this year of Shattered Sanctuaries?
So the year of Shattered Sanctuaries is our year 3 meta plot, which is kind of like the A plot of a season of a TV show, right? And in the year of Shattered Sanctuaries, imagine that in year 2, all of the Pathfinders were away in Iobaria and helping to fight terrible monsters and recover relics and while they're away, the Grand Lodge in the city of Absalom suddenly gets a whole bunch of urgent requests from a bunch of lodges in the Inner Sea. And the Pathfinder Society in Galarian has lodges, much like we have lodges in the real world where Pathfinder players gather. In the setting, these lodges are places where the Pathfinders themselves gather before going out on their missions. And so suddenly all of this urgent correspondence is coming in from several prominent Inner Sea lodges, and all of these problems need to be dealt with all at once. And then if you've played the intro to the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries, which debuted last month, you know that some more urgent problems also arise in Absalom itself. So suddenly there's all these problems going on. And at first, maybe you think, is this a coincidence? Or are they somehow connected? And that is what the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries is about.
Very cool. And I realize listening to you there that there's probably something that I should say that we've kind of left implied because we eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, which is that the terms Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society refer both to our organizations and programs of people playing worldwide, and also the in-game organizations that are leagues of adventurers and explorers and thrill seekers. So if you may be wondering, like, oh, why are they saying Pathfinder Society in the game and out of the game? It's both. It can be confusing sometimes, but it is what it is.
The Pathfinders play Pathfinder, and they play Pathfinder Society characters who are Pathfinders. It's very simple.
Go to the law. Pathfinders we could go down this rabbit hole a while, but I don't want to cut into Mike's time too much here. But I thought we should address that. So what are some of the exciting places that people can expect to see this season in the
astute viewer will have seen in that Year 3 art that the banners that are on the wall there of the Grand Lodge display some symbols from 5 Inner Sea nations in the world of Galarian that were actually former factions of the Pathfinder Society back in Pathfinder First Edition. In Pathfinder Society for a while, the groups that you could be a part of within the society all represented these nations. And not surprisingly, these nations are the ones that we're going to be focusing on during the meta plot for the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries. So you have Andoran, Chiliax, Taldor, Kadira, and Osirian, which are all getting a 2-part arc, so 2 adventures for each of those locations. And then Absalom itself, where the Grand Lodge is based, kind of the main headquarters, is getting a 4-part arc as well.
So with the structure of the season, people can, you have somewhat of an overarching story, but people can really come in and jump in and do like little pieces of the story and still get a complete picture of a story in a particular place.
The meta plot here is different than some we've done in the past where you want to play all of them in order to get the full story. This meta plot is pretty heavy, right? 14 scenarios is a pretty heavy meta plot, but the idea is that you could jump in and you could do the 2 in Andoran and get a full story right there, but they're connected to the others as well, right? So if you want to get the complete picture, you would probably want to play the whole season, of course. But we want there to be satisfying stories for people who can play 2, 4, 6, 7, or 14.
So with going to so many different regions in the stories, what are some of the strategies that you use to help showcase different regions and tell a broad variety of stories?
Well, each of these places has a long history and a lot of interesting characters who've shown up in the past. So a lot of my inspiration just came from looking at adventures that we've set in these areas before, right? They were very prominent locations for a long time. So there's a lot of content and a lot of history there. And a lot of the Year 3 stuff is kind of exploring some of that. We don't want people to feel like they have to understand everything that's happened in all of these different places in order to understand the story. We want to tell a story about what's happening now and what's happening moving forward. But that's where I drew a lot of inspiration from, as well as just thinking about, well, what are the different kind of adventures that that players of this game want to play. They want to do some dungeon crawls sometimes. They want to do some social or political intrigue sometimes. They want to do more exploration or puzzles. And so how can I, which regions are best for those different kinds of adventures, and where might they best be placed?
One of the features that's new in the outlines that you've been sending out to freelancers this year, Mike, is that you have a section that talks about the overarching themes of the season. Could you share a bit about that, why you decided to add that part, and maybe a teaser about what one of those themes is?
I first of all have to give a shout out to Tessa, one of our editors, the editor who works most often with me on Pathfinder Society scenarios to make them really shine, who really worked hard on these themes as well. So I certainly don't take credit for them. And also the freelance authors who are making the themes actually come out in the stories. But I have been sending out several themes that I want the authors to explore in the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries. We've talked about these regions and how they have a long history. And so one of the themes, for example, is past actions are not forgotten, whether it's good deeds paying off or mistakes coming back to bite the society. The actions of the society at large have consequences. Also, you asked for one, but I'll give one more. Relationships and allegiances matter. So I want the authors to be thinking about, both within the scope of the one adventure they might be writing and also the ongoing story as a whole, what friends and allies do the Pathfinders have that they can rely on during this time of need? So it's stuff kind of like that I want people to be exploring as they're telling these stories, so that even though we have all of these scattered locations we have some central sort of storylines and themes that we're exploring in year 3.
And if I can jump in and say one thing before Linda goes again.
Alex.
No, I just, I talked earlier about how these are living campaigns and actions have consequences, choices have consequences. Part of our reporting is often the GMs will report, did you make friends with this person? Did this NPC survive or whatever? And for the Pathfinder Society players out there, I can tell you that Mike has asked me for a lot of that data recently. So your actions are about to have consequences. I hope you're happy with them. I've gotten a lot of requests lately from, can you send me this scenario's flags? Can you send me this one? So yes, he has plans. I can confirm.
What did the players do there? Did they fly with this person? Did they attack them? Did they turn them in?
Is this person still alive?
I have to say, the way the data gets spat out is just based on like checkboxes. So I get like count of like A, B, C, D, and every time I send them to Mike, I go pull up the scenario. Like, okay, but like, what does that mean? Like, because I don't know. What does this mean? What happened? Ooh, fun. So yeah.
It's always interesting to see too.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite thing about Society. Yeah, because like it is interesting to see. It's really cool. It's like the players can influence the campaign, but it's also almost like a positive social experiment that we can do and see like what do they pick. So, and it's actually funny because overall our players in Starfinder at least choose typically like very ethical and moral choices, even when we joked about how they'd be like, murder hobos and just take everything that wasn't nailed down and like, use this guy's like head or something to like open the optical scanner. Like they don't do stuff like that. Like most of our players don't. And hats off to y'all. Like, heck yeah, because that's awesome.
We like to offer solutions and see what players want to do and then let the stories grow from there.
Yes.
And say they did what?
I mean, stories are going to have different choices that people can make, and while we do have while our adventures are pretty short, there's still a lot of decision points that can come into that, and we like to take that to spin the stories that we tell in the future. So, Mike, you mentioned that you've got plans coming up for Andoran, Sheliak, so Sierran, Kadira, and Taldor. But I understand you're also going to be going even much farther than the Inner Sea this season. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we do have some scenarios, non-metaplot scenarios that are intended to be sort of a standalone or maybe continue a smaller side story that we've had from the past. And so one of the locations that I am planning to revisit during year 3 with one of those standalone scenarios to follow up on some content from prior years is Arcadia, which I hope people are excited about. There's been some efforts among the society to go there and establish new allegiances and a lodge there as well for further exploration and more new friends.
So we're exploring places, but we're also exploring levels a little bit coming up here. We're gonna be seeing something higher level than we've seen before for Pathfinder Society.
Yes, and I think possibly sooner than some people have been expecting. I've been paying attention to some conversations and people wondering, when are we going to see a level 9 through 12 scenario for Pathfinder Society? And I am pleased to tell you that we will be seeing the first 9 through 12 scenario at PaizoCon, which will be in May, the end of May. So that is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
It is not a metaplot scenario. And I intentionally made it not a metaplot scenario because many people will be ready for a 9 through 12 scenario by PaizoCon. And other people might say, oh no, I need to level up and get there. And maybe, they don't quite get there in time. But I still want this scenario to be relevant for a long time and make people not feel like that, oh, it was part of that metaplot and I missed it, and 3 years later they still will be able to play it. And so 9 through 12 coming in May 2022. Is that what year it is? Time has no meaning.
That will be next year, yes.
That will be next year.
I don't know, yes. But they say that it will be.
It will be. And you see this with the interactive special that we've got debuting here too. It's not connected to our seasons. It's not connected to our metaplots. So we've been doing a lot of thinking about, for these sort of special events, how much do they need to be connected to our overarching stories versus how much can they stand on their own so that they're easier for people to plug and play. So we look forward to hearing what folks think about that. Is there anything else you wanted to share about the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries?
Only that I hope that you take very good care of Rain and Cloudy Day. Go play intro 1 and 2, and go play the Year of Shattered Sanctuaries intro, and you'll get to meet beloved Fungal Leshy Rain and Cloudy Day. Credit to Thirsty, of course, for the creation of this NPC, who will be returning, and I hope you take very good care of him.
Or else I will find you.
Jenny, did you have something else you wanted to say other than threats on behalf of adorable Leshies, which are also 100% valid?
You're muted.
Yes, take care of Leshy Boy. But yeah, I wanted to say, have we announced the Starfinder, the other types of Starfinder adventures? We have, right?
Do you
No?
mean
other types than scenarios?
Yes.
Do you mean the bounties? Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I thought we had, but seriously, time has no meaning sometimes.
No,
okay.
we have.
I just want to bring up that we are now going to have bounties for Starfinder. They won't necessarily be Starfinder Society related. They're not tied in, but you can they'll be sanctioned day one, obviously, as a part of the system. But that's going to be really cool because that'll be starting at first level. That'll be some material you can put into your game days or hopefully use to recruit and maybe teach people the game. Because the biggest thing I see when people look at Starfinders, they're like, wow, I love this setting and this seems cool, but I don't know how to play it. And if you came on board in 2E, it's the rules are a bit different. So people get a little intimidated, but the bounties are going to be a really good way to play with that and hopefully learn and teach others. So I'm excited about those two.
And you'll get a chance to hear more about them as a part of the panel on the print and digital adventures panel that we've got coming up on Friday. But I think that's definitely worth mentioning here. So thanks for bringing that up, Jenny. Speaking of intros, Mike mentioned intros, and I just want to be a little more specific here. Pathfinder and Starfinder Society both have a pair of introductory scenarios that are designed for people to jump right in, starting at level 1. Don't assume you know what the Pathfinder or Starfinder Society is. You've got the first one that talks about, in both cases, you've got the first one that's sort of like, what is the Pathfinder/Starfinder Society? And then you've got that second one that talks a bit about the factions of the Pathfinder and Starfinder Society, which are the sort of sub-organizations that people join based on their reasons for being a part of the Pathfinder or Starfinder Society, what drives them. So you can learn a lot more about those from those adventures, and those are all out right now and ready for folks to play. And I'm sure those are being run here at Gen Con.
They sure are.
Intro things tend to be quite popular, yes. Awesome.
Yes, we have many tables of all of the intros.
Sweet. So take a look out for Intro 1 and Intro 2 if you want an adventure that is tailor-made. If you're new and you want an adventure that's tailor-made for you, or if you just want to play a character who's a newbie, you know what? You can play those as much as you want. So we got a little bit of time here for some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those. So question. There was a question about plans for bounties, and again, that's going to be the type of thing that would be a little better addressed at the panel that covers those, because bounties, while they are produced by the Digital Adventures team, are not technically organized play products. So there was a question about if we have any content for tier 11 plus scenarios upcoming for SFS. I can take that, or you can, Jenny, either way.
Yeah, for like the bounties. Sorry, I looked away for like 2 seconds and I missed it. I'm so sorry.
No worries. I can take this one too. So we do have a 9 to 12 scenario through Sea and Storm that's going to be coming out in October. So
yes.
So that's gonna be really awesome. So that'll be some content for your 11s and 12s. We don't have like a levels 11 plus like starting their adventure. But we do have another 9 to 12 on the very near horizon, and we're also going to have another 7 to 10 coming up in November. So we're getting some, and one of August scenarios was a 7 to 11 or 7 to 10. So we've got a bunch of high level content coming in right here for folks who are looking for things to do for those characters. Next question. How do we choose which races and ancestries become boons? Which ones are just available? Which ones aren't in the game? That kind of stuff. How do we do that?
How do we do that? We put everything you want on like a dartboard, and then we just kind of throw darts. No. I mean, I can. This is kind of one of the things that Linda and I tag team on a fair amount. Some of it, one of the things we do with all of our new books is we put them through what we call a sanctioning process, which is basically we look at all the rules, make sure that they are clear in how that they are supposed to work, so that every GM is going to apply them the same way, and that they also do not shatter the balance of our game too hard, that there isn't like a new, I don't know, archetype in an adventure path that completely breaks every rule of design and gives you way too many proficiencies. And everything that passes those kind of sniff tests, as well as a couple others, like, is this an evil thing, generally gets put into the campaign in some form. The stuff that we put behind boons or put behind in the ACP store is generally anything uncommon or rare, or that in the lore is kind of meant to be more uncommon or rare on the Starfinder side. We also do kind of look at, like I said, the achievement points are how we reward our GMs. So we do kind of look at what is going to be the shiniest stuff that GMs are going to want the most, and then put that behind a boon at least for a little while, so that GMs really get a reward out of volunteering to GM, because like I say, without them we wouldn't have a program, so we want to make sure that they are rewarded for their efforts. So that's what I'm looking at from like an operations side. Yeah.
There are occasionally things, particularly we saw in Pathfinder First Edition, where there are races that are really cool and work great when the GM has the time and resources to accommodate around particular challenge is like, oh, this PC can fly or whatever, that if you've got pre-published adventures that people are running as they stand, that those poor adventures aren't necessarily going to stand up well to. So that's something that we might consider as well, if there are options whose power level might possibly cause challenges that our entire back catalog of scenarios is not ready to handle.
Right.
All right. Next question. How do we decide when to award boons for scenarios and such? There's a little bit of talk about like, oh yeah, some arcs have boons, some arcs don't. And certainly we've had a lot of changes in the way that we're looking at boons in recent years, moving from sort of the model where there's an expectation that no matter what, every single adventure would have a boon. That led us kind of down the model that I know it's sort of like the old stereotypical example is like, oh, this scenario gives you a +1 bonus on diplomacy checks against the gnolls of Katapesh. Which is like so situational that it is not worth it that that exists. I think there was like one scenario ever where it applied to, so that was great.
Year 4 will be gnolls of Katapesh.
The Pathfinder Society 1 boon, it won't happen. But really, though, we're taking a look toward making sure that the boons that we create are both things that we feel inspired by and are going to be interesting to people, and also ones that are called for by the story. So those two factors are strongly coming into play there. Let's see, what else? What are your plans to consider additional repeatable options?
I don't know. That's an editorial question.
Is that from a content perspective?
Yeah. There's kind of two perspectives on this, and I'll address it from the content perspective. When we create something that's repeatable, we have to look at sort of how extensively repeatable is this thing. So if it's something that's got like a few little bits of story that could be different when you play it and when you play it with different groups, then that's something that's easier to produce. If you get something that's like that's like half from Pathfinder First Edition, that's got like all these moving parts and stuff like that, then you're getting into something that takes multiple scenarios worth of resources to produce. And we really have to be looking at, like, we can't necessarily do that. So it's always a balance between sort of what we can do to make sure that we are investing the time and energy and effort in all the other scenarios that they deserve, and, looking at those sort of considerations. So it's something that we've been talking about as well, of what we can do from a programmatic standpoint to make it so that folks would be able to access that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's tough to like write, I assume, like a repeatable mystery, because once you know how the mystery ends, it takes a lot of joy out of playing that scenario a second time, because it's like, gosh, I wonder if this friendly NPC will betray us at any point in the next 3 hours. I'm sure I can trust them implicitly. Like, that's not as much fun to replay, so.
Mm-hmm. I've got another Alex-specific question here. This is very specific. When will tattoos be one of the promotional items that give us in-game benefits like shirts?
Oh, David, you know what? Whenever I feel like it. So that actually is kind of a thing that we're looking at with things, not necessarily like tattoos, but with, for example, this lovely book that I have right next to me, the Beadle and Grimm's Complete Character Chronicles. Don't mind me, I'm just shilling over here. We are looking at taking a look at the perks page that exists right now, because it's very specific about these specific items give specific rewards, and so we are kind of looking at making that a little bit more generic about, like, a campaign coin might give you this reward, and an accessory, which is this sort of thing, might give you this reward, and a t-shirt might give you this. So sooner than you think. I can't make any promises about tattoos specifically. But I mean, if you're going to put the Pathfinder Society emblem on your body forever, I don't know, you should get something for that, right? Right?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I really do. I really do.
That's fair. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I think we've got time for one more question here, which I just got came from folks who were in the Guns and Gears panel. Quote, I really, really, really want to play an inventor in PFS after Guns and Gears come out. But with the class being an uncommon class, will I be able to do that?
I don't know, Linda. Will they be able to do that?
Yes, they will.
The answer is yes. I will put asterisks on everything I'm about to say. We have not gotten the additional resources reviews back yet from our volunteers. We have not cracked open the book yet. Having said all of that, we fully intend to let everyone play Gunslingers and Inventors because we want you to have nice classes. Even if we make a bunch of other stuff, Boone will give y'all access to those, so you can have nice things. You may have one nice thing today.
Someone ought to make sure that we have some cool adventures set in some cool locations that are appropriate for those kinds of characters. Gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who would that
Gee,
be?
Mike, I wonder if that's how to make that
Yeah. I know of the perfect person for that, in fact.
I do know a guy.
Yeah.
And with that, thank you all so much for coming to our organized play panel. We are going to be on Discord for another hour, so you can ask us more questions there. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Solidarity.